Hello, everybody. Great to be with you. What an inspirational talk we just came off of with Mary Nelson. I have so much to say. So let's all go and send her our thoughts and our love in return for her great gift she gave us. I am super excited to talk to you about a skill that I was trained back in 1994 on, and it's been a skill that I have kept with me. And so I want to share it with you all as you're out there dealing with conflict. It's normal to deal with conflict every day. In fact, it's so normal. I encourage us all to start to train our brains to think that it's positive, meaning conflict is an opportunity to communicate, an opportunity to correct, an opportunity to make a situation or a relationship more powerful. And it's less about having it be a bad experience is what I'd like to offer in my techniques. And I think before we can really get into this technique that I'm so lucky to get trained on, I want to take us for a moment to think about the skill set overall that we're really talking about. And it has been very helpful in the last many years, as I've shared with people, the difference between IQ and EQ, meaning communication skills, our emotional intelligence skills. What is the difference? How do I utilize each skill differently? And I think the way to really think about this as we get into this particular skill, which is conflict resolution, is to recognize that your emotional intelligence skills are directly impacting your communication skills, and you can develop them. They do not cap out as our IQ does when the brain is fully developed. So no matter where you're at in the spectrum of your communication skills, you can improve them. You can make them better, and society needs you to. We all need to. Nobody's a done, example yet today. We all have the ability to make mistakes because humans are derived of emotions as well. And so we will make mistakes even at our best. And yet I really encourage us all to think about the skills that are directly contributed to communication skills, that are directly contributed to your success in business, in life, in relationships, ultimately, is what we're talking about. This isn't just about business, although it will certainly help us in business. It's really about owning these skills that I have here on this, what I call EQ tree, and it's on a tree because a tree can keep growing, and these skills can keep growing no matter where we're at. There's a lot of skills here today. Of course, these skills are not something that you just read about or think about or see the title of them and you now possess them. It is required usage and conscious thinking of implementing these skills, just like, let's say, our technical skills or our operational skills, the things that we had to learn and put a lot of time into. Emotional intelligence skills are one and the same. It requires us to be kind and loving to ourselves while also judging how we think, feel, and perceive and interact with others. And that can be difficult, especially since most of us, I like to think all of us, don't intentionally want to hurt and harm. And yet our words and our behaviors, and particularly in a business setting where people have power over others financially, it can be very, very harmful. The words and the actions that we all have or all can create. And so I am out here championing. I'm happy to have you all in chat. You know, we've got 20 minutes now, 15 together to say, where are we with this skill? I'm going to give us something to deal with conflict resolution in a minute. And yet what I want everybody to do is to really think about your own communication skills. How well do you do with win-win communication and these empathy skills, listening skills. These are the skills that I encourage and invite all of us to think about every day. Put the tree on your wall if it helps you. I have it around me at all times. I want to be highly accountable for the words that come out of my mouth, and I want to be highly accountable for my behavior. And the only way I can do that is to stay conscious to the concepts. So I encourage visuals, and I encourage a lot of thinking about. This is not easy. I would argue that it's tougher than what are the technical skills, only because of how emotions are not controllable at all times. It's just not possible. And we all have our programmed mind of how we use emotions and when they come into play into our lives. And that program was developed when we were a lot younger. And so it's okay to recognize that program, because you can still grow it to another program. We all can. I know for a fact that I am a different communicator. Every few years of my life, I become better. And there were times where I wasn't great, and it impacted me in my personal life. I had the communication down in the business world, but not the personal life. And so it really made me seek for this information. And I'm so thankful to have found it and to share it with you all. And I really encourage you to think about your communication skills every day, because everything we say, especially if you are in a position of power, then it's even more important that this is not just a nice to have. It's something that needs to be expected of people in a position of power. Meaning, there is a lot of people who end up working for people that don't have strong emotional intelligence skills, and that ends up not working for either party. And so I encourage us all to take back to our organizations the conversation of emotional intelligence skills, the conversation of communication skills, and the demand for training and support for words and behaviors and models that work within words and behaviors to support a culture of bringing productivity and joy at the same time to humans. It can be done. It's being done in organizations. It's not the norm. Capitalism makes it very difficult for it to be the norm, and yet it's not impossible at all. And it's something that we all have to demand. We have to demand that there is the focus and the skills training on communication skills. If not, we will continue to struggle, particularly as gender minorities, because poor communication skills means politics decides who achieves, who stays, who leaves. And these are two important of decisions and can have negative impacts on people's lives that is devastating, to just leave it up to chance that a manager is going to occupy these skills. And so, a real call to arms to all of us to bring to our organizations and to ourselves to say, management must have good EQ skills. And this tree of skills here is what we mean by skills. And we must pay it forward, keep training and developing these communication skills. I can tell you that, and I'm going to move on to this conflict resolution, but before I do, there isn't really a day that goes by that a client doesn't first speak to us, even myself, about the type of person they're looking for. And it always starts with the communication skills. Meanwhile, the largest portion of the security space are technical professionals. And that's not the first thing that people are asking for. So, it's something that we have got to recognize, that people are dying for their teammates to be able to handle conflict, which is why I chose this one for my 20 minutes that I get with you all. It's really one of the most difficult skills that we all have to own, because by nature, conflict means upset. It means somebody's feeling badly, something didn't go right. It is it means emotions are involved when we use the word conflict. And so therefore our willingness to confront, which is the real skill here, the willingness to actually be in the conversation that one is worried about having, that is fearful about having, that is concerned about the outcome. It is very true that when we need to confront, it doesn't mean that we are. In fact, most of us, and me included, I can't stand confrontation. And so I've learned how to work to minimize it. And yet, man, it is something that I have to do as CEO and as a leader. I have to be able to give somebody feedback. I have to be able to share with them that there's a problem. If I don't, that problem will get worse. We'll have more strain on our relationship, and eventually emotions will get the best of me. It will make me not be as powerful in supporting a very productive conversation. And so in 1994, I luckily ran into two serial entrepreneurs that hired me out of college. I worked for them for 21 years. I say luck because it's true. It's also why I'm here paying it forward because it's a rare thing. Anyhow, these gentlemen had a lovely training program. So some of these words are a little bit old. I'll alter them as I go, meaning kick isn't the nicest word. But let's get into it here and really talk about what is the technique once you've committed. And I encourage you, please commit to the willingness to confront, the willingness to share with somebody, work or at home, that something is bothering you. Of course, if you're a manager, there's things that you just have to address. Really, it's also the things that we feel like maybe we don't have to address, or it wasn't that big of a deal, that add up, and they add up. And then we find ourselves really consumed by emotions such that we're not really equipped to handle the conversation that we just got ourselves in. So I want you all to think kiss, kick, push. Kiss, kick, push. It's like every time you're feeling nervous about a conversation, that you need to be the one that lets somebody else know that you are not happy about something, that something is bothering you. Then I want you to think about kiss, kick, push, because if you implement this, it'll help you tremendously. So let's get into it, and let's use the example of a work example, right? So again, this is stuff that you can use at home with your, non-work family. I'm going to use work here today. So I'm going into a conversation with somebody I work with, and I'm going to take it from the perspective of being a manager. And I have a conflict. I have something that's not going well, some performance that's not working. And so before I go into this conversation, I'm going to prepare myself with what I want to say behind kiss, kick, push. And the kiss is about this. The kiss is about letting this person know that you care about them and that you understand they have a lot of good qualities, because every human does, and people don't come to work to fail. It is not what we do. And so get yourself in that empathy place and really get yourself to thinking about this person and the things that you like about this person. And you get as many of them as you can. And you rank them quickly in your head, and you definitely use the top one if that's all you've got. And if you've got a couple of them, you use a couple of them. And it's okay if you only have one at the time. But you're going to start that conversation. I'm going to pretend like I'm talking to Sue, and I'm going to role play a little bit here. And you're going to say, Sue, thanks for taking the time to speak with me today. I'm I'm really interested in having a productive conversation with you. I know how much you love our team and our organization and how hard you work every day. And I really appreciate you. And I'm going to stop talking. I'm not going to then go into my next. I'm still here in KISS. I am being genuine. The things that I am sharing need to be genuine. I personally need to be in a genuine place in saying this in order to really help this person through the next conversation, which is something's not working and we need to correct it. And that's when it gets not fun, right? Usually for us all. But when we can come from a space of really just setting the stage of, I really care for you and I find, these qualities in you wonderful. And then just be with that. Stop talking. If you say the word but right after that, you just took away everything that you just said. So it's better just to close the mouth, make eye contact. I'm sure there'll be some exchange there, and minimally the person saying super appreciative of that. Thank you. You can keep going. It doesn't have to be one sentence. You could certainly talk about that for a minute. And then once it's landed, that's the sort of think of your words landing on someone, because that's what they do. Once it's landed, then get to your next phase. And this is where I say, kick wasn't the best word, 1994, words have changed a lot. I like to think of it as moving someone or waking somebody up. Usually when there's something that's of conflict, it means that the person didn't do it on purpose. They're not recognizing it. They're not understanding they're doing this act that's wrong, or maybe missing a deadline isn't as much of a problem as they thought, or what have you. Whatever it is, this next phase after you've gotten them to understand that you truly care is about helping them understand what's not working. Whatever it is, it's about waking that person up because they're not seeing it, getting them conscious, right? They're conscious thinking. Think of this light bulb as your brain. And, somebody's now needs to help me understand what I'm not doing without making me feel, or potentially making me feel terrible. And I only say potentially because we all choose our own emotions. However, when you are a boss and you are in charge of somebody's paycheck, that goes down the drain. You are responsible. So the kick is the next phase, and it's as simple as, I want to discuss with you also, this last project coming in a week late. What happened there? It's not like you, or, people are really upset. Whatever it is that's going on, you're going to share and you're going to ask, what happened? How did this happen? What's happening? Again, it's really getting them in the accountability state, because when we can own things, we can move forward. We cannot move forward, meaning it isn't true that just because you confront somebody that now things are going to be different. They have to be able to take accountability for it without it being about, they're in trouble. And so, really the idea is to allow the person to become conscious of the problem in a way that keeps the emotions positive. That's a skill. It's a skill. And guess what? If you're not doing these conversations as everything that happens, then you won't do this one well. You know what I mean? Meaning like it becomes harder and harder the more things that pile up that are a challenge or bothering you, right? Like it's just too much. You got to do every one, which is why the willingness to confront is the hardest emotional intelligence skill. So I have got less than a minute left, which is great because this is my last slide. When we do those first two, kiss, kick, the next one is the push. It's about forward motion. It's like push yourselves together, push you and that person together. What is the plan moving forward so that this doesn't happen again? What is that? It's your job as a manager and their job as an individual to figure that out as fast as possible, down to literally you can see it, the solution. Otherwise, we really didn't solve anything. So before I lose you all, kiss, kick, push It's about caring. It's about emotional intelligence skills. It's about the willingness to confront often, as much as possible. With that, we can empower each other and we can move forward. Have a great rest of your time at Day of Security. I'm so grateful for all of you and our volunteers. It's a really special day. Thanks for having me.